Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, people. Good evening. This is a spirit journey. How are you? Yes, today is Wednesday. Hello, Wednesday. Hello, Wednesday evening. It is October 11th, 2023, and the time here says 9:38 p.m. Yes, I hope your day went well. Boy, it seems like a couple of days since I did a live stream. I had an okay day today. The weather was absolutely beautiful today. The sun was out, and boy, was it a beautiful breeze out there. Yes, right now it's 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, you wear a little jacket, and it's pretty good. It's awesome. Yeah, I'd like to talk about the, the situation with our borders. And I got to be very careful how I word certain things because certain words and phrases, could get serve as a red flag. Um, wow. Yeah, I had a doctor. I had two doctor's appointments today, and they went okay. I see, what I want to say up front, I am so lucky to live in a country like America, where I'm born and raised, because I have all these amenities that most people on the planet don't have, that I'm able to make a doctor's appointment and get served. And I can walk to my appointments. And, many people don't have that ability. I am really, really, really blessed. I have parks, different parks I can visit, um, shopping, um, so many things that I have at my fingertips. Banks all over the place. You could, if you don't like one bank, you could go to another bank. I am really pampered by the benefits that I have. But there are some concerns that I have, growing concerns, and not just me. I've been noticing changes. I mean, I've talked about this type of thing um, past years, but I'm very sensitive, and I notice micro changes in my environment. People who have had certain traumas, they're hypersensitive to changes, nuances that most people won't really focus on. But as I see as the years go on, my concerns have proven valid. I mean, I'm spoiled by all the amenities that I have at my fingertips, and I don't want to change them. And I'm seeing growing number of people over, social media are waking up too and are speaking out. And some of them are given like a timeout. It's like they put on probation, so to speak, from social media. Um, There's this one particular YouTuber that I watch. Boy, was he fervent in what he had to say, what's happened in his community in Chicago, in America. And boy, was he upset today, this YouTuber. You see, where he lives in Chicago, um, and he shared a video of what town hall meetings of communities, black communities, and they're getting fed up. See, now they're waking up. See, I guess let me not say it, but they're waking up finally. But see, he's scratching at their doors. And he's interfering them, and the race card and stuff. Now it's smelling. Now they can't tolerate the smell, the stench that's happening because many of us have been brainwashed to accept, what do you call it? There's a term when continence dissonance, something like that. It's when, it's right up in your face, but you make an excuse for it. The writing's on the wall, but you don't adhere. You don't. It doesn't phase you because you're not it's not registered. You're making excuses. Well, now they're waking up, and in Chicago, they have sent so many of these uh, questionable people in their community. And they're talking about, I mean, this is really something that's really, really a red flag. How is it that if they are down and out in these hotels and are poor, well, in Chicago, this one YouTuber is sharing information that somehow they got cars. So to get a car, you have to have it registered, and to get something registered, you have to have ID, 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 ID. How do they get an ID? And they're parking their cars in a particular area, and the residences that are taxpayers, there's no parking there for the locals, the residents, the legal residences of that community. And he has called certain people in town to address that issue. That people aren't able to lawfully park there because it's being taken over, the spot's being taken over by these uh, people who are not um, registered here. And it's like they're given more and more benefits that is infringing on the local population. They're siphoning off the resources primarily over the poor. And they had their town hall meeting that this YouTuber shared. Wow. Playing very loud music, all hours of the night. And the residents there, well, homeowners, some of them, they can't sleep. They have their windows open, and you can see everything inside what they're doing, and the howling, screaming in these units. One guy said, "Look at here, grandchildren in the area, well, they can just look and see inside the window. It's all open. And they feel that they're being disrespected, the community. I know I've met someone about 8 years ago from a foreign country, and she actually was recruited um, by the U.S. Um, she's from a prominent family in the country she's from in Africa. And for whatever reason, they recruited her to live in the U.S. And they moved, I think, to New York, and they gave them an indoctrination. This is the point. She had to learn certain history and the culture of the people that she would probably be in contact with in America, so that the flow, the transition from her life in Africa to America. Also, this woman also lived in Europe too for much of her life, but she went back to her home country to start a business there. They're very intelligent, highly educated woman. She has her degrees, and they invited her to the U.S. to get another degree. Oh yes, that's what was told to me. Yeah. So I think that that is proper. So even when they recruited her, that they also was to help her get a job too. They helped her get a job. She was connected. It was really something. I never heard of anything like it. But there was a connection to employ to make sure that they are assimilated and have enough knowledge to navigate in the USA. But that is not what's happening in certain communities, such as this Chicago community, predominantly Black, that they're not adhering to the local, laws. And when someone did complain, this elderly woman contacted the police. Police said, "Well, loud noise is not against the law," something like that. I thought there was some type of law, what's that? Disturbing the peace. I thought that was on the books, disturbing the peace, right? But they're not. The police are not interfering. See that how they're treating certain groups over other groups. But in particular, this particular YouTuber is sharing to us that the cars, how are these new people, and again, they're not vetted, there's no document, how are they getting documents to get registration? Who is sponsoring them? Who is paying for their vehicles? How are they getting it? What's being in a car? But here in New York City, it's motorbikes. They have tons of motorbikes. Who's paying for that? And why was it issued them? Why these people? Yes, hello viewer. Good evening, good evening, good evening to you. Yes, why is it that they are given transportation? There are people, Americans, that are living here and are not able to get viable work because they don't have transportation to get to certain jobs. I mean, when I got out of the military, I didn't have a vehicle, so I was limited where I could work because some communities don't have buses, public transportation is not reliable. And you better have a car. And to get a car, you need money. I cannot afford to live in certain communities because I cannot afford a car. And at one time I didn't know how to drive. And I don't like to drive still. I haven't driven in years. I don't enjoy driving. But you have people who are only here for 3 months. Three months only. And somehow they got vehicles. And they said, this YouTuber shared, this YouTuber who lives in Chicago, in Illinois, USA, said that 40% of these newcomers that are not documented have vehicles. 40% of those vehicles, 40% of those particular people have vehicles all of a sudden. Who is sponsoring this? What are they going to use those vehicles for? Why? Are they setting Americans up? This particular YouTuber also shared that in the near future, that these particular newcomers will become deputized to be able to make arrests. Now, I don't know where they got that from, but that is a big flag if that's what's going to happen. That they will be policing you, American families. Why are they giving privileges over U.S. citizens? And again, they're targeting primarily black neighborhoods first. And in New York City, they do Manhattan and Brooklyn and Manhattan. And then they spread out to parts of Queens, Northern Queens, and Staten Island. And those two boroughs, Staten Island and Queens, are fighting back. See, those communities, it's a lot of white people and Asians, new generation, but they own their homes. It might be first generation, but they own their homes and they don't want the value of their property to go down. That's what the deal is over in Staten Island and Northern Queens. The value of their property, and those ethnic groups do not want their property value to go down. Because if they are forced to move, they're going to get pennies on the dollar. Instant poverty. Yeah, it's not just black neighborhoods. Now the system is spreading out to your white neighborhoods in America. But surprising, it's not the affluent neighborhoods. It's not the affluent ones. But somehow we have lawmakers, policymakers, and somehow they just seem insulated with the problem, what could happen. And forget about the jab over the past 3 years. Again, it's 2023. What happened in the past 3 years? Yeah, there was a severe employment loss, business falling permanently out of business, and the city was in a real bad situation. I feel that, like this YouTuber, yes, good evening, viewer, good evening, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope your day's going well. Yes, so things are happening very quickly, and this YouTuber hit it on the head. This is a an attack on America's citizens, attack on America. And that's why number 45 people, that's why number 45 said fake news, and America first. This is what he was talking about all along. But what happened got twisted, and people said, oh, he's racist. He's racist. No, he's a businessman and is into real estate, and he knows about what's happening all over because he has properties all over the world. So he knows the deal. He knows what's going on. And he was right. Number 45 was 100% accurate. He was accurate, number 45. And so that's why he stressed America first, because he knew how he knew is speculation and um, allegedly that, what's his name? That the scientist, oh, Kessler, that guy Kessler, that scientist. Um, his number 45 had I think an uncle or grand uncle, I forget, someone, a close relative, who allegedly got access to uh, the science, these scientific books of Tesla, and of a possible like time machine, something with time. And then he allegedly had access using this gadget to see in the future. And so, I know, again, just hearsay. But what if it's true? He had access. And what if it was true? And that's why he ran for presidency, and why he was very fervent about America first, because he may have known that there's going to be what seems to be confirmed a takeover, a takeover. But see, the takeover doesn't have to be the old-fashioned way. It's technology. And using migrants. What is migrant? Someone who's moving about from A to Z. Well, they're not migrating when they're stationary. They're not migrant when they're stationary. A migrant is someone who moves. Where they're moving. Shouldn't they say where they're moving to? Where they're invited. Where they're going to. Then they're not migrants. Then they're inhabitants. Where they're invited. And if they were invited, that person which invited them is legally responsible for their care. I did not make a contract with them when they moved to New York City. I did not invite them. No one in my community invited them. But They're no longer migrant because they're stationary and are siphoning off of your resources. And so your black children, your black teens, cannot get a basic job to have pocket money. And I had to go to the doctor's today. I had 2 appointments today. And when I went to the local, well, they call it clinics here, and I'm grateful that it's near me. I can just walk to it. How is that these women um, have access to this medical place? And babies, newborns. Who's paying for this? No, and again, I have to, I want to clarify that I'm not insensitive to the need of women and mommies and their babies. I respect family. I respect family. And I love little babies. And I want them taken care of. And it's not good to use babies and children as pawns for political gain. Make political excuses because of these little babies. Babies are innocent, but agendas are not innocent. Agendas are not innocent. How is that they're able to come to the U.S. pregnant? Who's going to pay for those bills? Any money they make, they better pay taxes on that. Any of these people. How is that? Oh, with the cops there, with cops around, and they are illegally selling food on the street. These little fruit, fruit bowls, fruits in a little cup. And they're cutting the food out on the street and collect their money, and so they have their children next to them. How did they get this equipment if they just came with nothing and sneaking across the border, but they had to set up shop in the street? It's illegal to sell food on the street without a license. You're preparing food, it has to be prepared in a legal kitchen. And they do it openly. And the cops are right there. But yet in some black neighborhoods, these black men, American men, are being harassed just to walk on their land, their community. Harassed, and it did nothing. But it's just because of their race. But here we have newcomers who somehow got their hands on vehicles, motor vehicles. 40% of these migrants in Chicago have vehicles. Where do they get the money for the car? Who's paying for the gas? And in New York, they don't have cars. They have these motorbikes. They have motorbikes in the city. Who's paying for that? Where is it coming from, this money? Who is sponsoring them? Who? How is somebody, okay, now, if it is something legitimate, shouldn't those pregnant, did you come in? Are you pregnant? You look pregnant, mommy. When did they then, when did the authorities Okay, if they allowed her in, wouldn't they be responsible that this person have to get housing, have to live somewhere? And after the baby is born, it was a newborn that I saw today. Looked like a new baby. And they don't look, and they're way overweight, these ladies. So their health, they're chubby. Health issues down the road. Food for the baby. There are Americans here that don't have um, money for food. And what's happening in Chicago and most likely New York, that they're going to have cutbacks. Cutbacks. Who are they going to cut back? They're not cutting back on the migrants. They're cutting back on you, Black America. Because that's where many of them reside. They have school buses they got school buses for those little kids. Because, they get up early in the morning, the bus is out there. When I go out to walk my dog, you see the yellow bus by the hotel, the migrant hotel. They get on. It just looks like this is a new takeover because the different rules that are applying. Because hey, if they can have the fruit bowls, they might be able to sell other stuff, right? But the general black population, what jobs do they have? They're being overlooked. And some of the complaints that this YouTuber shared, they shared a video. And this is in Chicago. And the people, like some of them are homeowners. Some of the blacks are homeowners. And something with get the term that they use. But in essence, what the person was saying that the banks are going to take back their house. That it's something happening, and it's forcing the homeowners. Because I guess the taxes now are increasing. The taxes. See, when you get a whole bunch of mommies with their babies or children, they have to register the kids to the schools, right? Because again, the bus, when I get up early and the bus around 7 o'clock in the morning to bring the little kids to school, who's paying for that bus? Or the school, because now they occupy a seat in the classroom. Okay? They occupy a seat in the classroom, and each of those kids represent money. And the school board could maybe apply and say, hey, we have enrolled in this school X number of kids, so you have to get money for it to service these people. And they're getting it. But they're cutting back now, they're saying, the government. But what they're going to cut back on. And who's going to pay it? Where's this money coming from? Well, they're going to increase the taxes. And when you increase taxes like the school tax, you may not even have kids where you have to pay taxes for the district that you live in, for the schools, and everything else. And if you can't pay those taxes, even if you are able to pay or have paid in full your house, let's say you paid it off the mortgage, but the taxes can kill you. The taxes that are increasing in some of these communities, you could not afford. And some of these people in Chicago are the elderly. They are on a fixed income, and they cannot afford some of the taxes now that's growing. And there is a plan to take over their property. The institutions. That's what they're planning. They're going to confiscate their property. You can't pay those taxes. They know that, and they target the poor. They'll always target the poor black neighborhoods first. They are the first to be siphoned. The first to be siphoned. And they can predict at the rate, because they know how much money they have in the bank account. They have access to how much money. They can just go. Have data, okay, how much money is in this particular, neighborhood bank? What are the taxes they're currently paying? Well, they know X, Y, and Z neighborhood earn X amount, but the taxes now is out of reach, and so they're going to use up their savings. It is a 21st century warfare. They're clever. They're wickedly clever. They are wickedly clever in their endeavors. They're sneaky. And you don't need bullets for warfare. You can destroy a whole community by submerging that community with, in this case, migrants who will reproduce, have their babies. Once they're born in American soil, they are automatic U.S. citizens and could claim every type of benefit that they qualify for, and their mommies and mommies can get financial gains by having these individual babies. And anything is better than the countries that they're from. It's paradise for them, but it's hell for the locals that live in these communities. Locals. The blacks in Chicago are finally waking up. They must have been taking off their hair weaves. Take off your hair weaves so you can listen better. The braids are too tight. The weave is too tight. And you weren't listening. Take them off so you can really focus on what's going on. Past 3 years, or especially the past 11 years, many of us in the black community were hypnotized by the foolery of the mantra called racism. So-and-so the racist, right? And you jumped on the bandwagon and you called everybody that didn't look like you a racist. And remember, at one time, a lot of people from my community were beating up people because of what their race or ethnicity was. Right? And that's what the system wanted you to do. That's what the system, yes, hello, boss. That's what the system wanted you to do. Again, using Black America as the pit bulls of society, or what you call the brown shirts. See, the NAZI used the brown shirts. So you also like a brown shirt. And the brown shirts were like the thugs in that community during World War II. They did all the dirty work, got rid of people. And once they got rid of everything that they wanted the brown shirts to destroy, they themselves were destroyed. They themselves, the brown shirts, were all destroyed. And they kept the SS people. The brown shirts were all destroyed, and then they ushered in the SS. Those were the elite people. of that organization in World War II. The elites. And I see the same thing happening here. They get a bunch of naive, ignorant black folk, just whisper the word, oh, we're racist. And they jump on that bandwagon, acting like a fool. But you let these camels in your community. You strain out a net, but you swallow a camel, right? You swallow that camel. Migration pools of camels occupying the schools, the services, the parks, and everything. And somehow these camels are able to get motor vehicles. 40% of them in Chicago have them. 40, where did 40% of these migrants get money for a vehicle, and they're only here for 3 months? Who is sponsoring them? Who is sponsoring these people? Who is sponsoring the people in New York City where I live? I live in New York City. And it's a handful, a deluge of motorbikes across from the shelter where they live. And they just hang out. They just hang out there. And then, as I said earlier today, that there was newborn baby, a woman with a newborn baby. They're bringing in pregnant women into your black community, poor ass black community. Gonna suck out all our resources, especially after the COVID-19. What happened the past 3 years? How many of us lost jobs? Had people who passed away? All the stress from that alone. And then you did this. That is why, see, number 45, whether you like him or not, I think he did know about the future. And that's why he said America first, because he saw that it's going to be a takeover. Take it away what you were used to. It wasn't a perfect system. It was not a perfect system, but it was something that at least you had your own neighborhood. And now 10,000 of these people enter into our community. It's over 120,000 people shoved in our limited black neighborhoods. But somehow they get vehicles, what they're using it for, I don't know, and motorbikes here in New York City. And they get school buses to bring their little kids to school, and pregnant women being brought over in our country and popping babies out. And who's paying for it? You are paying for it, and your own black kid doesn't have food to eat or a seat in the classroom. Who's going to pay for it? Your taxes. And the taxes are going to come out of the homeowners, the people who own the homes. When you have a community, and if it's a growing number of children, you have to pay school taxes, even if you don't even have kids. You have to pay an increase in taxes. And even if you own your home outright, if you don't pay your taxes, and that's what's happening in these poor, black, limited communities that are on a fixed income, they cannot pay the increase in the taxes, and so they plan this to happen via system. And blacks now in Chicago, the homeowners are in Chicago. They're coming after their property and taking away from them. Where are these poor black ass people going to be living? Where are we going to be living? Where? Winter is coming. Winter is coming. And these migrants have 60 days in these hotels. And then they're going to be out on the street. Now, if this was a legitimate thing, um, why are you only giving them 90 days? Isn't that their house? Shouldn't you, if you brought them in, you are responsible for where they live. You have to be responsible. If this is a legitimate operation that the government is doing, they are liable for their health, and everything in between. So winter is coming up. And we had the past few weeks we had flooding in New York City, massive flooding. You don't think we're going to have a snowstorm? I predict we're going to have some serious snowstorms here in New York City. Where the hell are these where these people going to be living? Where they're going to be living? What also happens in New York City around the holidays, theft. Theft is going to happen. It's going to skyrocket. You got a bunch of poor black folk competing now for jobs, whatever, and they're going to be rampaging during the holiday because they want to get stuff for their little children, right? Right? They want to get it because we're Santa Claus and all this and that, right? And they're going to feel, some of them in desperation are going to feel compelled to rob people, and this is what happened over the past 3 years. And someone tried to rob me at an ATM machine. I was warned after the fact. Let me tell you what happened. This was about 3 years ago. I had my shopping cart. I had done shopping early in the morning, and then I remember, I have to get some money. I have to do laundry. So I entered the ATM, vestibule, and it had a security guard inside. I did my business, and I was just chit-chatting with the security guard. I was in a good mood that day. And I guess maybe he felt sorry for me because he said, okay, she seems like a good lady, but I gotta warn her. And what the guy told me, the security guard at that vestibule where the ATM machines were, in Manhattan, New York City. He said, "Excuse me, miss, I need to tell you something. When you were trying to enter through the door, this man was approaching you from behind, and when he saw me, he left quickly. He is a known criminal, and he was going to attack you. And the area is high, it is very dangerous, and the cops were told to stand down. They were told to stand down. The cops were told to stand down, not only get involved with serious matters. Well, I think being robbed at an ATM machine is a serious matter, but anyway, that's what he told me. And it was the day before Thanksgiving. And coincidentally, see, I'm remembering that. See, I'm seeing a pattern, people. I'm seeing a pattern. Yes, Spirit Journey starts to see patterns. That happened about 3 years ago. 2 years ago, approaching 2 years ago, also the day before Thanksgiving, I was physically attacked by this woman from out of town who was cops said that she was schizophrenic and something about her medication. And she was not arrested for attacking me. She had attacked me in broad daylight, 2:30 in the afternoon, surrounded by people. There was a lot of people, and I was in the middle of the street when the attack happened. Isn't that something? It just dawned on me. Yes, but both incidences happened the day before Thanksgiving. Well, I'm going to make sure that I'm not on the street the day before Thanksgiving for this year. I'm going to make sure I keep my ass home. Yeah, see, people, um, there are patterns in the world. Boy, that one just jumped out at me. People are being triggered. People out there are being triggered, and they're being triggered at certain time periods. Um, I, 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 I believe, based on my experiences, people are being triggered because they want you to react, and they're hoping because they know how. Excuse me. Um, Volatile a lot of us Black people can get. And they want, see, they're provoking the Black community with this deluge of undocumented people called migrants. But again, migrant means movement. If they ain't moving, then they're not migrants. If they're not moving, they're not migrants, and they are transplants. They are transplant. And what are they planting? Did you ask for those to be planted in your community? Who invited them? Whoever would have invited them is liable to pay. And how come they're not moving? Why aren't they being put into other people's neighborhoods? I think you should find out where these officials live and maybe suggest that the migrants move over in their neighborhood, those high officials. Remember earlier this year, someone brought these migrants to what they call Martha's Vineyard. It's a rich um, upper class neighborhood where the number 44 lives, and then they are conveniently bussed out of that neighborhood overnight. But they bring a busload after busload in poor neighborhoods like where I live. And there's a point that, see, again, the Black America is finally waking up from its slumber. We got distracted with all the things that were happening, especially from 12, like in 2012 to now, all these things, these are people that were massacred in the Black community, and the race card was used. And so you overlooked these migrants. They were migrants back then. They were migrants 20-something years ago when I came back to New York City, right before 9/11. Oh yeah, they were migrants then. They used these white buses. They put them in these white buses from New Jersey. And a lot of these people were from Colombia. And they bus them from New Jersey to Lower Manhattan, and they work in the retail industry. They don't have to even speak English. They don't even have to speak English, and some of them are violent. I worked in that retail store, and I experienced firsthand what some of these people do. Violent, some of them. And a fist fight. Have you ever seen a fist fight in a department store by the people who work there? Hello, there's no law. They're lawless, some of them. Lawless. It's the wild, wild west. And they're relying on these nations where they get them from because they're wild. You get a country where people don't have a pot to piss in, don't have electricity, and you're looking at the American dream, what you see on television, and yet they're willing to sacrifice their lives, their babies, of course, and sneak in the country to get the American dream. You bet they'd do anything. And then they come in and they don't want to leave, and they're willing to fight to stay in, and they'll fight you, and they are protected and not you. They are protected, not the U.S. citizens. If there's a fight or something, it's some agreement. It's some agreement that's being done, and their interests are being protected. Their interests are being protected. I don't understand it. I had done an internship long ago, about 26 years ago. I did an internship in it was a factory, a chocolate factory, and they got this guy from Colombia. I just had 3 days left for my internship. I was there for maybe 5 months in my internship from school. And 3 days prior, the incident that happened, that they get the new guy. Now they were getting the students from the school that I was attending, but now they got this Colombian national and had to train him to do the job. It was okay to talk to. It was fine. Everything was cool for the 3 days. We had to work together for 3 days. But that third day, we walked to the subway. I was going home, and he came on the same train. And then something happened. He had a mental breakdown in front of me, and he was insisting that I marry him because they're going to deport him out of the country because of his citizenship status. He had a mental breakdown in front of me. I'm not lying, and I'm not over exaggerating. He flipped up on the train, and I think I started to smell alcohol on him. At one point, I realized I smelled alcohol. He was reacting to something. So maybe by the time when he took something before we exited, and then it was getting in his system, and then when we got on the train, he had a meltdown. Even though I was very naive back then, I was just, this was 26 years ago. I was in my 30s, and I was scared shit. And especially, even though I was naive, but I knew enough about certain countries and certain people, certain migrants from countries. I knew about gangs and things like that. I knew about it. And I knew that some of these people were sponsored by these gangs. And you don't want to mess with them. Because, see, they have a contract, and they have to fulfill the contract because they had to pay to get in. So they panic. And they do anything to stay because they have to pay a bill. They have to pay the coyotes. They have to pay the coyotes who, I guess, pay, they had to pay, the coyotes, whatever. Or maybe they're using their relatives back in their home countries as a ransoms. So if they don't pay up a certain amount every month, I'm speculating that they're going to do harm to their family members. And a lot of these people in these countries are very family oriented, which is a beautiful thing. But it's not beautiful to me if you're going to be harming me and my interests. I was always very flexible about people from different countries and stuff like that. It was there. It was in your face for the past 40 plus years in my life. You see it. Everybody knew what's going on. You're getting people from, not having their papers, whatever, but they kept it quiet. Now it's not quiet. And again, 20 something years ago with this internship, well, I reported the guy to my school and to the internship site. I was an excellent worker, and I thought I was in good position with the internship site, and it backfired in my face. I told the guy who trained me on the job, and then he told the owner, and they're of the alphabet soup also. I'm just adding that, they're of the alphabet soup community, okay? And the owner called me back, yelling at me, says that I questioned so and so, and he said he doesn't know what the word citizenship means. You're a liar, blah blah blah, and he pulled my internship. He pulled my internship. I only had 3 more days to do to get the number of hours. It was thrown out. Could you believe this? I worked for this man for about 5 months. This immigrant was there for 3 days, and its interest was precedent over my American life. This was 26 years ago about. It was in 1997, late 1997. I was devastated. And my school, I was, was not very, they had it work quickly. And it did eventually kick in to help, help me get the remaining hours necessary so I could graduate on time. I graduated with honors. I bust my ass at that school. But I learned early in life that my life isn't as valuable, considered valuable in comparison to these migrants. It's some type of agreement, some type of thing that it doesn't make sense. Why would a company pay a migrant, but again, they can get free labor from the school as an intern? We didn't get paid as an intern, not even lunch. We had to work and give hours. I worked there, was about 19 hours a week, 19 hours of free labor a week for about 5 months. Okay. But this clown comes in and 3 days. Oh, I don't know what citizenship. Oh, really? People. Do you think that that immigrant did not know the word citizenship? Fucking liar. That is a liar. Well, it happened. And they have more rights than you. And it's something about them that they are that these businesses are covering for these migrants. There must be some hidden agreement that these migrants have to be funneled to work in certain companies. Maybe it's by region within the city. So, okay, X, Y, and Z company, we have these migrants, and you have to take some of these people. That's the only logic I can see what's going on. That the businesses here to stay in business, you have to acquire X number of migrants. Or else something is happening. People, does it make sense to you? Do you want free labor or have to pay this so and so. Which one would you want? You want the free labor. I was the free labor. And the school I went to had the free labor. Yeah, something's going on. Yeah, the department stores. Back in the day, when I came back to New York City, just before 9/11 happened, there were buses, white buses, from Jersey, and they're white buses. But Jersey was bringing them in, these migrants, and they flooded these retail stores. Yep, it's 20 something, 22 years ago. Wow. And now here's the camels are here. The caravan is here, and somebody is behind it, and something is being set up, and they want to see. Now a lot of the blacks are waking up. A lot of the blacks are waking up and saying, whoa, wait a minute, my taxes. See, this is what white folks have been talking about for years. When they see, it's not racism, it's the value of their property. Europeans/white people understand the concept of property, and land property equals wealth and equals the right to vote historically. At one time, if you did not own land, you could not vote. Let me repeat. In history in America, regardless of your so-called color, you don't got land, you cannot vote. And in Europe too. You don't got land, you cannot vote. And when you get land, it has a value to it. And Europeans, because it's their system, understand that you could do a lot with your land. And you want the value to go up, because now the system, hey, you could borrow money against your house, the value of your house. And you can use that money maybe to educate your children, send them to fancy schools or whatever, right? So value goes down. You have less power behind your name. So they understand that. So they didn't want undesirable situations to occur in their neighborhoods, because they understood that it decreases the value. It decreases the value, means dollars. And it's going to hinder their livelihood. And so they freaked out when they saw certain elements happening in their communities, and they spoke out because they understand money. They understood money. And so now you have some black folk in Chicago, this YouTuber was saying, and they were saying that their home is going to be taken away. Yeah, there was something I wanted to show you. There's some video. Yeah, cars and yeah. What was that? Let me show you something. I forget exactly what it was, but I left it up. Let me just see. I'm going to share you something. Share something with you. Yeah, this YouTuber is really good. Chicago migrants cost to get by police. Yeah, he was really upset. This is something with cars. Let me play some of it.
This is parking spaces. So I'm glad to see that they're out here and they're giving tickets, and now they're checking all these cars out here. to see if the cars are legal. And I told them, I said, yeah, check on the cars because you know they got to be illegal. They got to be illegal. So I'm going to go talk to this guy who's ready to take it and tell him thank you. I'm good. Appreciate you coming out here, man. I really do. I won't put you on here. I've been living out here 18 years. Ever since the illegals got over here, we can't. That's who came around to take house. They came in and started somebody. I saw them stamp. I saw you from my apartment. It's ridiculous. Ever since they've been here, they take up 40% of the parking now. Yeah. And I know these cars aren't legal. And how they get this money? That was my question to you. How in the world they get this money? And they're parking in our parking spaces. Yeah. So yeah, I got a guy here from the city. He's giving these people tickets. They deserve a ticket. They all of them. They need to get rid of these cars. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we got the city out here right now. And this is how you do it, people. You get with your lawyers, you get with your alderman don't act right, and you tell the people what to do. So thank God the city is out here and they're doing it. If you guys can come back once a week, because they're going to die ticketing these cars. We have illegals out here with it. This is what I mean by justice. This is what we have to do. As citizens, we have to get involved and we have to make sure. So now they're ticketing these cars. We have illegals out here with their cars. And I made us think about it last week. And now the city is out here. They're across the street now. You can see the illegals. So as soon as the city came, the illegals, they started scampering. They started moving their cars. But what should have happened was that the city should have been out here a long time ago. I don't know if it was me that he made the difference with, but I emailed the principal last week and I told him there's no parking out here in this area, and they need to clean up these streets because the illegals, they take up about 40% of the parking spaces here in the city of Chicago. It's ridiculous. And it's not fair to the taxpaying citizen. Remember I did a video earlier on these tents? These are the same tents. But guess what? The same people who was in those tents, those illegals, you know what? They got their cars out here. Why are they allowed to park? They're not paying any taxes. And they're parking over here. They're taking up all the residences' parking spaces. So I'm glad to see that they're out here. They're giving tickets, and now they're checking all these cars out here to see if the cars are legal. And I told them, I said, yeah, check on the cars. Because you know they got to be illegal. They got to be illegal. So I'm going to go talk to this guy who's ready to take it and tell him thank you.
Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, so these are your fellow Americans speaking out there. They're opening their eyes. See, we were deceived for the past since 2012, and they used the race card to excite Black America, and see, we're manipulated. And when number 45 came into office, we many of us believed a lot of the BS. America first. What's wrong with that? America first. Well, number 45 knew what the deal was, knew what was really going on, and spotted it out. And he didn't like that because someone lied. Someone manipulated us. Someone manipulated our emotions from history and exploited that sensitivity that we have. But they were lying to us. And then the blacks that are in office, the black mayors that we have, are in cahoots with the system. They are in cahoots with the system to destroy us. Skin folk ain't kinfolk. Skin folk ain't kinfolk. And we swallowed whatever. We voted them in. We voted these black mayors in office, and it stabbed us in the back. Well, if you could vote someone in, you could also vote them out. You could vote them out and really find out who is for you. A lot of these people that they're putting in office always seem to be of the alphabet soup community. This alphabet soup community cannot have families, traditional families. So how could it represent you if most of us, 99% of us, are traditional people, and the 1% is alternative lifestyle, as they call themselves, alternative. Again, it's your choice what lifestyle you want, but make sure Black people, then you get people that represent your interests. That's what I'm saying, your interests. And if there's some alphabet soup community, it ain't about your community, and they don't care, and they're being bought off. They're bought off to who knows what activity, but it's not with you, mainstream America, at hand. And you are paying the tab. And people are losing their homes. And I think this is modern day warfare by trickling in people from outside to destabilize your home, your future. What do your future have, especially Black America? What future do they have with a whole bunch of people who don't speak your language mostly? They don't speak your language, and they're showing hostility against the residents, in particular Black people. Somehow they're able to love white people, but not Black people. But when all this Black Lives Matter or this minority matters, but somehow the minorities never fight for your interests. Why are these new communities, why do they move into your community, but they never buy in your community? They don't buy, but they want you to buy in their community. We make them rich, but they won't buy anything from us. They don't buy anything from us. We should be very selective who we buy. If they buy from you, then yes, you can buy for them. Do they support your interests? Are they willing to fight with you? I don't see any of them fighting for us. Oh, but we're supposed to, because they're minority. See, they use these words, these trigger words, but it's empty words. They're empty because it doesn't consider you and your family's interest. It doesn't promote your generation, your progeny. The resources will be removed, especially in New York City. It's being removed quickly, overnight. This is a coup placed against you, Black folk, first. And yes, then once they get that stronghold, then they're also going to spread into poor white communities, and you're going to have the new kid in town. The new kid. When I went to the doctors today, there are no American doctors. It is like I went to the clinic, my neighborhood clinic, and none of them are American. And again, there's nothing wrong of someone working here legally, but you are not being hired. You are not being hired. They have bypassed you, Black America. They are bypassing you from jobs. And my medical, I have no American doctors that I saw this year. None of them were American. Why is that? What happened to the Americans? Where are they? Certain occupations are now exclusively one particular thing. And none of them include Black Americans. None of them. So what happened? This is a way to push you out of your home. If you're not being considered for a job, you're being excluded, which is discriminating. But yet, for the past 11 years, you always advocated for the so-called brown and Black folk. But yet these new people are taking your fucking jobs, your life, your breadcrumbs, and the veterans also. Many of the veterans in New York City are Black people like myself. I am a veteran. And a lot of these organizations and stuff like that here, even in the homeless shelters are filled with foreigners who work in them. And they don't like Black America. I also fell into a homeless shelter many years ago when I came back to New York, 20-something years ago. And the lady was from Cuba. Here I'm an American and a veteran. And she said, you don't get a job in 30 days, you're out of here. Like that. Real fucking nasty. And she's a nasty woman. A nasty, nasty woman from Cuba. And so I felt forced to get a job at an area where I knew that I would be able to get a job, but it was at the across the street from the World Trade Center, and the World Trade Center just weeks prior had that disaster. I felt forced to go there to look for work, because anywhere else I wouldn't. I didn't feel I could get a job there. Yet jobs are hard to come by because of that whole incident. 9/11 caused a lot of. They don't talk about it, but it hindered a lot of things, a lot of jobs, and homes too. People became homeless and jobless. And so, yes, I went to that company, and yes, they hired me right away. I got sick working there, physically sick. And that's the place where they were bringing in illegals, those white trucks from New Jersey, to bring in these ladies from, Colombia, yeah. And people were fighting, fist fights occurred on that job. Fist fights. They are violent. You get poor ass people from the Americas with the hope of getting some food or money, whatever, housing. They want to fight, they fight for it. And they fight Americans. They are not nice. They are not nice. These are the street people from these countries. And they bring them in because it's cheap labor. Cheap labor. And it's a keyword. The institution would give keyword, or wording like they said, we're looking for someone who's bilingual. That is a code for we don't want Black people. And so you exclude them. And now these so-called bilingual, they're not bilingual. They only speak Spanish. They don't speak English. This is America, and we speak English here in New York City. And again, when I went to the doctor, the clinic today, a lot of the literature that they had at the clinic was not in English. It's not in English. Who are they catering to? Who are they catering to, people? They have programs, translated programs, You go to a facility, let's say mental health, they can make sure they have translators for these immigrants, migrants, whatever what you call it. And they have precedence over the Americans. And I talked about that too in my past. There was a woman that had an appointment, a Black American woman that had an appointment. And they had someone who was part of she required a translator. And even though the Black American woman had the appointment first, they skipped her and took the woman who wanted to utilize the interpreter. Why did they do that? The person in question had a person with them who spoke English. So she did not require that because she had her son there who was speaking English and who was trying to sell this key change to the people there as they waited for their turn to see a practitioner. See, they're exploiting it. They exploit it and they throw it in your face. And this happened many years ago, about 19 years ago, that happened. And when I exposed it, well, the sister got angry at me. And that was a Russian lady. That was a Russian-born lady. How did she get that position? She was new in the country. How are these people immigrants or how are they able to get these positions? And yeah, New York City also has a lot of people from Russia who are getting these management and supervisory positions in government jobs. And they are a trip, some of these women, Russian women again. And they're not nice. They're not nice. Not nice. How are they able to jump the line and being considered for these supervisory management jobs in government agencies and not the American ones? Why is that? Why and how does that occur? Because there's a system in place that is being used to thwart you, to replace you people. They are replacing you and they don't respect you. Now, some individuals might be very skilled and have, be able to serve a community. But that's not why they're hiring them. And it's an arrogance and a disrespect that they have to the local population, including me. I'm not a woman from the street. I have 2 degrees. I have an undergraduate degree in psychology and a master's degree in nutrition. I also have a certificate in pastry arts. I also used to be a certified security guard. I also have experience in other areas. It doesn't matter. I'm not someone from the street, but yet they are treating me like I'm like I'm a foreigner, like I'm some parasite. I am also a veteran. And how dare these newcomers disrespect me and the American public? And it's being permitted. And for all these years, a lot of Black America was not awake and did foolish things and promoted people because of their skin color. And you assumed because they were non-white that they were about you Black people. And now you're finally waking up. You must be taking off those fucking weaves and wigs. Because now you're able to think better. But honey, it might be too late. You need to wake up, protect your family, educate your children, educate your children, because we are at WAR. This is another form of coup that's happening, and it's replacing you and your interest, and you're paying for it out of your tax dollars. And your those who are fortunate to own homes, your taxes. Oh, and I bet your school taxes are gonna go sky high. And when you cannot pay your taxes, the government or the financial institution will confiscate your property from you. And so now you don't have a legacy to give to your descendants. What's going to happen? Who's the wealth going to now? Isn't this by design? Isn't that the goal? To confiscate the property of Americans and replacing them with the new peasantry. And you're going to also have the new elite who are going to be your doctors, your, what else? Your IT specialists, your scientists are going to be the other class of people. And they'll be living in a nice fancy apartment, the sky rise, the skylines, you know. And the peasantry would live in those new projects. Yeah, they bring them all in here. And the YouTuber that I mentioned earlier, they said that they're going to be deputizing these migrants, deputizing them for the police. I don't know where he got that information from, but that would be very telling. Like the brown shirts used to bully people. Why? Who is sponsoring them? Who paid for those those cars look pretty new that I showed you. And then in New York City, that's Chicago, in New York City, they have the motorbikes. I believe they're going to be mobilizing these people to do a harm first to the black people here. Your interests will no longer be, you no longer needed here. You are no longer needed, black people. You know, most of the people, like about, black people make up, what's that, under 18% of the population, but we occupy 40% of the military. We occupy 40% of the military, U.S. military. And again, I was military. This is how they slap you in the face. I just say, Black America, they're going to do something to you. You better start speaking out. And you know something? They're doing this to you, you better start demanding your reparations. Reparations is not saying, oh, you don't forgive white. It's not about forgiveness. It's about correcting. Because they're going to screw you. You bet, get what's yours, because they're going to push you out of your country. They're going to push you out. At least if they push you out, you deserve your reparations package. And you better start demanding it. Start demanding it. You worked it. And you've been in the Americas for over 400 years. Over 400 years. And this is how they treat you? I think reparations. You better have Reparations on the ballot. Reparations on the ballot. Your church has forgotten you. Did you know that your church money that you spend, that the money that you pay is being funneled into a foreign country? I'm not going to give the name of that country, but you could just figure that out, people, over in the Middle East somewhere. The money is being funneled to them. You black folk are your tax dollars. I mean that your tithe and offering is being funneled over into the Middle East somewhere. Not in your invest in yourself, people. Invest in yourselves. You have been abandoned again. You have been abandoned. And you don't deserve that. Wake up, pull off those fucking wigs, because it's stopping the blood circulation in your head. Wake up from your slumber and say enough is enough. Take control of your family and make a plan, non-violent, and start to address those issues. Say, you know, you've done this, and there's really no turning back now. You're pushing us out. Give us our reparations, and we go elsewhere and start a thriving community somewhere else. A thriving community somewhere else. They've abandoned you. They have abandoned you. Wake up, people. Wake up. Wake up and smell the coffee. America has been abandoned to social decay. Social decay in the worst way. They hurt you during the past 3 years with that COVID. People dying, a lot of death that happened. People in my neighborhood were jumping out the window. People of color that I know of. I know 3 people of color that jumped out the window in my neighborhood. The other one was an elderly white man. Wow. Yet something is brewing, people. The winter is coming, and honey, I believe it's going to be a major snowstorm. Something is up. I sense stock up on certain foods, stock up on non-perishables, stock up on non-perishable foods for your survival. So, you know, basic needs, basic stuff. I smell it happening. I'm very into sometimes. I mean, I'm just a regular person, but I you know, when you're young, when you grew up young and you had traumas in your life, you start to acquire this keen sense of get out of here. And, you know, this red flag goes off. This red flag goes off. You understand minute things, clues and codes of behaviors, patterns, you're able to see patterns very well. And something is up. And you know, the men here in New York City, they you know, the black men here, they have them now doing the smoke. They wear ladies' clothes, so some of them just having a trip, we call it a trip, they're tripping, you know, because of the drugs. They have a trip. And no one's helping them. No one is helping them. I'm very sad. They had you focus on all these things. A lot of these things are distractions. They're setting us up, people. Look what they did to Hawaii. And I told many of you that I used to live in Hawaii. I lived right in that town that got burned up to a crisp. They're doing a similar thing there. See, again, yeah, they have a lot of illegals there too in Hawaii. Oh yes, I used to work in it's not, it wasn't, it's funded by the government. It was a Head Start program. So yeah, I worked inside these government slash, the local places. You see it all happen. You see what's happening in communities with the nature of the job and what they do to these poor people there. They didn't ring the alarm. Oh, we didn't want people to assume it's a. I mean, if someone rings the bell, you go out to see what the problem. It's a bell, an alarm, and you make the assessment. Alarm is an alarm. It would have been there to smell the smoke. Hello, people. This is an extermination, social engineering, ethnic cleansing has happened in Hawaii. Ethnic cleansing. See, they're not calling it what it was. It's ethnic cleansing. You heard about what happened in Maui. How many? I don't know how many people perished. They're not going to tell you the truth. Horrible what happened. They didn't deserve that. I mean, there's a lot of corruption there. A lot of corruption in Hawaii. Yeah. They call it the Aloha State. No, it's not the Aloha State. Yeah, a lot of evil people that in government, city agencies. That was my experience, unfortunately. And they're going to clear. See what happens when a fire happens. Again, a whole community used to have to pay your mortgage. I didn't realize that, but yeah, just because your house burned down doesn't mean you're not liable to pay off your house. You got to keep paying that bill, even though it's no more. And maybe your insurance carrier says, "Oh, we're not going to give you that. Your insurance, you're not covered for that." And they're going to force the people to live in these what we call green cities. A little cubicle. It's a ghetto. They're going to cram you in a small spot. These 15-minute cities. 15-minute cities. It's the new jail. Newer order city. Yeah, I'm shocked. I wouldn't have thought 20 something years ago when I was there, I would never think something like that happened. I shared 2 months ago the video. I showed footage of where I used to live, all burnt up to a crisp. The places where I worked on Front Street, all wiped out. The house that I physically lived in Lahaina, all burned up. I'm very sad, very sad. Yeah, they're up to something. And this also happened in California too. Remember Paradise City in California? I think it's California, Paradise. No other communities, and they wiped them out too. Where did those people go? It was a rich community. But where did the people go? That community in Louisiana. Remember, oh, Katrina, Hurricane Katrina. Whatever happened to those people in Lahaina? I mean, in Louisiana. A lot of those people couldn't return to their homes. When you have a major event, a flooding or fire or tornado that wipes out a community, you still have to pay the bills. You still have to pay the mortgage. Let's say you took out a student loan, you still have to pay the student loan. Everything keeps on. And they rely on you on getting choked with bills, and then the government comes in and confiscates everything. It becomes owner of the bank or the institution who owns it. They take it over. And now you become the new slave because again, you don't own land anymore, you don't have property, and you become the new slave. And you're at their mercy of where you can live and eat. This is the new form of warfare. And it's come to a community near you. And it's not just people of color anymore. It's all people they're going to do. All of us. All of us. But they always get their slicing in the Black community first. And then everything else topples. Everything else topples. Wake up, America. Wake up. And regardless of race, with your fellow Americans, because it's going to happen to all of us. Come together. Come together in peace with your other fellow Americans and say enough is enough. Expose what is evil. Expose what they do because they're going to get you. And they don't love you. And I'm very sad. Very, very sad. I love this country, but I don't love what is happening to it. And when number 45 exposed it, they twisted his words and called him a racist. What is wrong with America first? When your kid is living on the street, Black America and white America, you're going to say, oh, that's what he meant. Yeah, America first. It is a coup, and it's being taken over by, you put in the blank. You fill in the blank. Who's doing it? Who's behind all this? The same type of people who's behind the COVID, in my opinion. Yet clever people. Wickedly clever. Yes. I really wish safety to all you people. I love my city. I love it. I have a lot of good things here, but it's progressively getting worse. Yeah, right down below, what's happening in your communities? Share what's going on. What is happening in your neighborhood? What do you see? What trends do you see? And how is your community speaking out? What are they doing? Are they doing something? Start speaking out and join other people who are faced with the same problem if you can. In peace, no war, but yes, war is being done onto you. Yes, this is a new form of warfare to harm your interests, and you become the new slave. Wow. Yeah, share your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this content. And those of you who want to support this channel, um, please consider to PayPal me. And to do so, just go to my channel, Spirit Journey. And on the top right of the banner of the channel, you're going to see my PayPal me link. Just click on the link, follow the prompts, and any amount would be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. And I thank you in advance for your beautiful gift. Those of you who can't afford any monetary gift, you can just say thank you in the comment section below and give me a thumbs up. And that'll be fine too. Okay? Thank you again. And enjoy your evening in peace, love, and harmony. Thank you again for the opportunity for me to share this with you. I hope it resonates with you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Until next time, see ya. Bye bye.